All right, hello everybody, meteorologist John Gross. We're doing another weather video, and today's topic of discussion is going to be how do we forecast a winter storm? Now that we are getting into some of these colder months, our average first inch of snow is pretty much right around now, mid-November. Even some areas across northern Michigan, it's a little bit earlier in the month, and even for some, late October. So we're due. And it does look like we could potentially talk about some snow as we are getting into late next week. So that will take us into late November. We're also going to touch on what you could potentially see now coming up on social media, people potentially these pages that you might see sometimes putting out overall ridiculous snowfall expectations, forecasts for snowfall a week out plus from when an event's supposed to occur. Things you can look for online to know that most of the time these types of people, I'll call them media-ologists, they're looking more so for likes and shares. So we want to make sure that we're getting our information for wintry systems from a reliable source, me, Michael Haley, or National Weather Service. Anything from NOAA is usually a good bet. And respecting winter storms, because we're not going to tell you a certain amount of snowfall in inches almost a week out from a storm. It's just not realistic. So kind of going through the days leading up to the system itself, and realistically, just based off of how much we know about the science, what makes sense. And again, getting your information from a reliable source. So let's go ahead and talk about it again. These are going to be the amount of days we're looking at: 6 to 8, 4 to 5, 2 to 3, and then again 0 to 1. So we'll start with a post that somebody put out there, and just some things to kind of go over from this post. First off, they call themselves meteorologists, but the at least title is in full caps, which we normally don't do with a credible source. That's a red flag, number one to me. Number two, this is coming from a Facebook page. They don't have a blue check mark, so they're not verified. And then everything that they're typing that they want you to really pay attention to is in all caps. So let's just go ahead and read this, shall we? This was posted a few days ago, looking at next week. So we're looking at November 20th to the 22nd, 1 to 2 feet of snow and deadly flurries. I'm born and raised a Michigander my whole life. I've never heard of or used the term deadly flurries. So right there, that's a dead giveaway that somebody is just trying to put out information that is not realistic. It looks like it is a raw model data output of some snowfall almost 7+ days out. And just going and looking at the newest data as of right now, the same areas that he or she is projecting 1 to 2 feet of snow, they're now looking at less than an inch. So again, not a good, reliable source. So let's keep reading. Could pile up over Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota between November 20th to 22nd, 2024 for the killer blizzard on its way. Just please don't share stuff like this. And then in quotes, the dark reds are where at least 1 foot is possible. The orange areas could see 2 feet. I don't see any orange on here. Maybe southern Minnesota right there into northeast Iowa. And then again, yeah, facebook.com/meteorologist. If you're a legit meteorologist, you're going to put a photo of yourself. You're going to put your actual name. You're most likely going to be verified through Facebook. So again, be very cautious of where you do get your snowfall information. So let's jump into more of a reliable source. Someone like me, someone like Michael, someone like Haley, someone like the National Weather Service, someone from NOAA, Climate Prediction Center, things like that. So let's start with 6 to 8 days before a system. So these are things that most meteorologists, hopefully all meteorologists, at least certified meteorologists, are looking for at this point. And this is kind of where we're at right now, looking towards late November, at least late next week, for a potential system. So we're paying attention. That's pretty much it. That's where we're at right now. Snow is possible. We're not saying it's going to happen. We're not saying that we are going to be looking at several inches of snow yet. We're just looking at patterns, observing patterns, early signs of a potential system. That's kind of where we're at right now, at least leading into next week for late November. As we continue on, now we're 4 to 5 days from the system. So now, as we continue to get new model data in, we're looking to see if we're seeing big shifts, or we're looking to see if there is consistency. Are we seeing the same thing over and over again? If we are, then this chance for snow or ice or freezing rain or sleet or whatever it might be, quote unquote, looking more likely. So the confidence in what we're projecting to potentially happen is starting to increase. And it's another good time frame to look at the data and ask yourself, does it make sense? Is this a realistic output for something we potentially could see? So we're at 4 to 5 days. Let's go ahead and get a little bit closer to the event itself, 2 to 3. So now we really are seeing the consistency. We are starting to get general ideas of where potentially a rain-snow line might be setting up across a certain area that is being covered, in this case, northern Michigan. So now we, quote unquote, start planning. We're getting an early idea of the system. Yeah, we still could see a few things fluctuate, but we have enough consistency in the data to where we're going to start to pin down precipitation type, rain versus freezing rain or sleet, or if it's just going to be a snow event. We're looking at the timing. So can we talk about it being more of a morning thing, an afternoon thing, an evening thing, commutes, things like that? Is it overnight when a lot of people aren't on the roadways? And then we could probably by this point, at least within 48 hours, start to get an early estimation of what potential snowfall totals might look like. Now again, that's an early estimation, so you have to expect those numbers to potentially change. You can't hold on to an early snowfall outlook. Now, if we have very consistent data, we're probably not going to see many changes, but we still have that 48-hour window to where we can get more data, at least high-resolution data, and that gives us the best potential forecast to where we can see, again, rain, freezing rain, sleet, snow, and how much in your backyard. So when we get to within about 24 hours, either we really know what's going to happen or we know it's not going to happen at all. So this is when we can really start to say, okay, we're looking at snow Friday morning. It's going to be a rough commute. We're probably going to have some snow-covered roadways. You're probably going to be looking at some slowdowns for your commute, bus stops, things like that. Potentially we can look at school closings and how much you're going to see certain locations. We can really start to get into the nitty-gritty of it. So again, you have to respect where we are in relativity to when the event is going to occur in certain things and what we look for when we're forecasting winter storms. So that's kind of a breakdown of what we talk about. Again, a week out, and again, a week, we're still looking at patterns. So please, if you ever see a snowfall map saying a week out plus that we're seeing X amount of inches of snow, please don't like it. Please don't share it. Please, again, get your information from a reliable source. Me, Michael, Haley, National Weather Service, NOAA, Climate Prediction Center, all great sources to get accurate information on potentially upcoming winter storms. And like I mentioned throughout the video, we will be keeping an eye on late next week, Thursday, Friday. It does look like we could have some much colder air moving in from Canada, and that potentially could give us the chance for a little bit of lake effect. Again, we're about a week out still, so we are still looking at patterns. We're looking for that consistency. If we continue to see that throughout the weekend into early next week, that's when we'll start to get a little bit more excited about it. Until then, we're just looking at patterns. So that's a breakdown of how we look at winter storms. Hopefully you did learn something today. And we appreciate you sticking around for some more science weather. And we will talk to you all later.